An intranet is a private network which is heavily protected by many different networking devices, such as router, firewall, proxy server, DMZ, Honeynet, IPS and IDS. This diagram is an overly simplified version of the reality. I try to put these devices together in a reasonable order, only for teaching and learning purpose. IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System. The system is often deployed on the network close to the perimeter. It is very much like a CCTV camera above a business entrance or sensors on its doors. IDS is a passive system that scans incoming traffic. Once the IDS identified dangerous or suspicious traffic, it can send alerts but leaves the action to IPS. IPS stands for Intrusion Prevention System. Unlike IDS, IPS is able to actively block or prevent intrusions. It means IPS takes action. 1. Inspection and investigation. Inspection can include signature-based inspection and statistical anomaly-based inspection. Investigation includes analyzing suspicious packets and activities. 2. Action. Once unwelcome packets are identified, IPS would either put them in quarantine or simply drop them. 3. Logs and reports. Like many security devices, IPS can log attacks and send reports. Keep in mind, IDS and IPS are not necessarily two separate physical devices. They can be combined into one device. They can be also combined with other devices such as firewall, router, or proxy into a single device. Unified threat management and next-generation firewalls are two examples. First of all, a Honeynet is a real network composed of some real networking devices and real servers, which we call honeypots. A Honeynet looks real and honeypots appear legitimate. However, they work together as a trap or a baiting system mainly with two purposes. 1. The setup of the Honeynet is intentionally vulnerable. The main purpose is inviting hackers to attack the system so that their hacking activities can be monitored and their methods and patterns can be studied. Information could be valuable and helpful for the IT professionals to protect a real company intranet. To some extent, honeypots can serve as lightweight intrusion detection systems. 2. A Honeynet is also used to deflect hackers from attacking a real intranet and its resources. Once hackers thought they've got what they need, their attention could be diverted. DMZ stands for Demilitarized Zone. We borrow this term from Korean Demilitarized Zone. When the Korean War ended in 1953, a ceasefire agreement was signed and DMZ was created. But anyway, according to this ceasefire agreement, within this buffer zone, no military troops, no weapons are deployed. In the networking world, DMZ is a lightly protected network. It is still a part of a company's local area network, but less protected than the Intranet, where the critical and sensitive data is hosted. Why do we need DMZ, and what's its purpose? The answer is because we want to provide convenient and efficient services to the public users, and we do not want to heavily control the traffic to the DMZ. Let's look at this example. Within this company's local area network, there are two areas or two parts. One area is heavily protected intranet. The company does not want the internet users to access this part easily. The other part is DMZ, which is lightly protected area where the file servers or web servers are hosted. The company wants the public user to access these servers easily and smoothly, like it wants as many public users as possible to access its web pages. If these servers are protected too much, the traffic to DMZ is restricted too much, the public users would be turned away. At the same time, the company still wants to make sure these servers are protected. The trade-off between security and convenience is DMZ. In summary, Honeynet is a baiting network that purposely attracts and invites hackers. DMZ is a lightly protected network whose purpose is to provide a convenient public services to the internet users. They are part of a local area network with different purposes. A proxy server is mediator between the external and internal networks, screening all incoming and outgoing traffic. A proxy server has at least 5 functions. 1. A proxy server acts as an agent on behalf of its clients. When clients make requests to a web server, for example, the proxy server uses its own IP address to replace its client's IP address. When the page is returned, the proxy server forwards it to the client. In this way, the proxy server hides IP addresses of its clients. This function is called Network Address Translation, or NAT. This NAT function is more commonly performed by routers or firewalls. 2. Proxy server can act as a caching machine. For example, client A wants a latest version of Firefox. The proxy first checks its cache. Sorry, I haven't found it in my storage. Let me download a copy from the internet. The proxy server would go to the Mozilla website and download the software. Then it forwards a copy to the client A and keeps a copy in its cache. Next time, when client B asks for a copy of Firefox, the proxy server checks its cache. Here you are, and this time the proxy would give the client B a copy directly from its cache without having go to the Mozilla website. Thus, it reduces network traffic and improves network performance. 3. Proxy servers can control traffic both inbound and outbound. For example, if a company prohibits its employees from going to some social media sites like Facebook or YouTube during the work hour, he can simply deploy a proxy server to control outbound traffic. This can be easy setup, simply blocking IP addresses of these social media sites. Number 4, proxy servers can keep track of all traffic, both outgoing and incoming. Last but not least, a proxy server can be set up to bypass the firewall. This function is very different from its normal setup I mentioned above. Here is the scenario. Suppose I'm sitting in my school office using my school private network, and I want to check my Facebook, but my school firewall blocks the Facebook site. I cannot connect with my friends, but I'm very determined and stubborn. So I go to buy a proxy server and install it in my garage and work day and night so that it functions properly. Now I come back to my school office again and use my school private network. This time I do not go to Facebook site directly. Instead, I log onto my proxy server in my garage and ask my proxy server to Facebook, and then my proxy server gets the Facebook. As long as my school does not block my proxy server, I will have no problem with checking my Facebook through my proxy. This method is called bypassing the firewall or climbing over the Great Wall. Keep in mind, there's many types of proxy servers with many different functions. Firewalls protect a network from external threats using a variety of methods. In this video, I will talk about 5 major functions. Number 1, port filtering. Port filtering is also called port blocking. A port number means a certain application. Different applications use different port numbers. Port filtering is a function that allows or denies a certain applications by opening or closing ports. Opening port 80, for example, means web pages can go through the firewall, 25 for sending email, and 21 for FTP, and etc. If the firewall is set up to block ports 7, 19, and 53, for example, it means the firewall will block application using these port numbers. Number 2 function, MAC filtering. MAC address is Media Access Control Address. It's a unique identifier assigned to a device network interface card, or NIC. It is a device's physical address. This option is useful because the MAC address of a specific NIC never changes. Number 3 function is IP filtering. IP filtering is also called packet filtering. It blocks the packets based on layer 3 IP address. IP filtering will block incoming or outgoing packet from a particular IP address or range of IP addresses. Number 4 function of the firewall is content filtering, and is also called information filtering. In the most general sense, content filtering can include filtering applications such as emails, web pages. In a narrow sense, Content filtering is blocking websites by matching strings of characters such as hate, violence, or pornography. When the strings match, the content is not allowed through. This function is similar to some parental control programs. The four functions I just mentioned above are simple static or stateless filtering. Each packet is examined independently based on different variables and with no reference to any preceding packets that may have passed the firewall. The last function I'm going to talk about is dynamic filtering, or some people call it stateful filtering. Dynamic or stateful filtering is the most comprehensive inspection. It's like going through U.S. airport security. You must have a valid ID to match the name on your boarding pass. You will be examined and scanned from head to toe. I'm glad they didn't ask me to take my hat off and put in the tray. From the perspective of the OSI model, dynamic filtering is like checking packets from layer 2 to layer 7. The process of dynamic filtering does not only involve inspection of header information such as source and destination IP addresses and port numbers, but also includes the close inspection its contents up to the application layer. But keep in mind, dynamic inspection is not a simple sum of all static or stateless inspections. The most important feature of stateful or dynamic inspection is that all packets are examined as a string, which means the decision on whether to pass a packet depends on what packets have already been through the firewall. To put it simply, packets are examined as a whole, not as a simple sum of its parts. The stateful or dynamic inspection also analyzes incoming packet for its authenticity in order to ensure that the packet is not altered during the transmission. In summary, static or stateless firewalls make decisions based on variables like IP address, MAC address, or port address. Dynamic or stateful firewalls make decisions based on a whole picture. A router is used to connect networks together, and its primary function is to deliver packets based on layer 3 IP address. This is the most important function of a router. I will have a separate video talking about routers. Today, I only focus on one of the router's security features, ACL. ACL stands for Access Control List, which is set up to control the traffic in both directions, incoming and outgoing. ACL tells router to permit or deny traffic according to one or more of the following variables: source IP address, source subnet mask, destination IP address, destination subnet mask. As we know, subnet masks are used to define different segments within a network. Routers ACL can also control traffic based on TCP or UDP or port numbers and etc. There's a variety of reasons we use ACLs. The primary reason is to provide a very basic level of security for the network. Thank you very much, and see you next time.